Alright, throughout this video, I should hopefully be able to help you out when you are dealing with zeros in the quotient, otherwise known as your answer. So your answer is going to have a bunch of zeros in it. Alright, whenever we have this situation, I definitely recommend using the expanded form for these type of division problems. Obviously, they can be done using the old school step-by-step or even the area model, but really, a lot of kids are using the expanded form, and it's really working well for them. So I'm going to use that one, but I'm also going to show the other methods as well. Alright, so this is expanded form, and when we're dealing with this type of question, we have 1,842 divided by 6. I always tell the kids, you want to start off in obviously the largest place value. So I just ask, can 6 go into 1? And of course, no, you can't. So that tells me that 1,000 needs to be broken up into hundreds. And so now I have 1,800s. Well, if I have 1,800s, that means I'm going to have 100, some hundreds into each group. How many, I'm not sure yet, but I definitely know I'm going to have some. So I'm going to put my 2 zeros on top, and I'm going to put 2 zeros down below. That helps me take care of the 42 that you see in 1842, and then I can really just focus on 18. So now I'm asking myself, okay, 18 divided by 6. How many times can 6 go into 18 without going over? And of course, the answer is 3. So because it was 1,800, 300 times 6 is right on 1,800. So you subtract, and you end up with 42. Now here's a little bit different. Before, when the kids do these, they naturally say, okay, well, I have to go to the tens place next. So a lot of kids have been getting in the habit of just writing a 0 up top. But here's the thing. All you have is 42 left. That's it. So if you multiplied, or you broke 10 into 6 groups, you would need at least 60. Well, you don't have 60. All you have is 42. So, matter of fact, there is not going to be a tens place. So, really, you can leave that 0 there if you want. You don't need to write it at all. And I'm going to move over to ones. The nice thing about this is you don't have to drop anything. You just have 42 divided by 6. So, if you do your 6's, 6 times 7 is 42 right on. And when I subtract that, I'm left with nothing. So if you're looking at the answer here in the quotient, we have 300 plus the 7 is 307. So there's your answer for that one. Now using the area model, the first thing you want to do is ask yourself is how many boxes am I going to have to draw? Or how many boxes do you think I'm going to have to draw? Well, once again, I want to look at the thousands place and divide it into 8 groups. Well, 5,000 divided by 8. If you have 5,000s, you can't put 1,000 into each group. So once again, I know I'm going to have to combine that with the next place value, which is the hundreds place. So I'm looking at this more as 5,100, not so much as 5,000. That also tells me I don't need a thousands box, so I'm going to start with a hundreds box. Because I know I'm only going to need hundreds, I'm going to draw 3 boxes. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to need all 3 boxes, but I'm going to draw them. And you start by putting the big number, your dividend, in the first box. So in this box, we have 5,125. We know that one of our factors is 8. So I'm looking for 8 times what is 5,125. So once again, I know I'm in the hundreds. So I put 2 zeros. And when we multiply by 2 zeros, we know we're going to have 2 zeros in our answer down there. So I'm looking at just 51 now. Alright, so 51 divided by 8. How close can I get to 51 without going over? Well, a lot of times the kids get stuck on 8, so I've been really recommending that the kids use multiplication charts, and that seems to really be helping. But for right now, obviously it's going to be 6. So 6 times 8 is 48. And if you subtract here, we have, of course, the 25. And then what I've been telling the kids is, a lot of kids are trying to cross out the 5 and borrow and all that stuff. Really, all you really have here is 51 minus 48. So just use your fingers, count up. 48, 49, 50, 51, and that's 3. So we have 325 left. So this right here is going to go in the next box. 325. Well, once again, you go to the tens place because that's what comes next, and I have a 0. Well, now in this situation, I know that I can get into a 10 because of the fact that 10, even if I put 1 10 in each group, into all 8 groups, that's going to be 80. Well, I have 325 left, so that tells me I'm definitely going to be able to do several 10s into each group. So I put a 0 up top because that's my tens place, and a 0 down below. And the reason why I put that 0 there is because I know I'm going to be multiplying by 10, so anything times 10 is going to end with a 0. So I guess that's why I do that. It also just helps me take out that 5, and I don't have to consider that 5 anymore. All I have to do is look at the 32. So 32 divided by 8. Now that's technically 32 tens, but 32 divided by 8. So once again, you do your 8s, and I know that 8 times 4 is 32. And when you subtract, you're going to end up with 5. So doing the area model, you take the 5 and you move it up to the next box. Here's where it gets a little bit confusing and stuck for kids that like to do area model. They're asking themselves, okay, I have 5 divided by 8. Well, if you only have 5 pieces of gum, you can't give one to 8 kids. It just doesn't work. So what they have to understand and realize is that if they really have to put something up top here, you can multiply by 8, or I'm sorry, by 0. 8 times 0 is 0, and you can do that. And so 5 minus 0 is 5 again. Now I've gone through all my boxes, I got everything complete, so I just add up the top, 600 plus 40, of course it's 640, and then my leftover 5, and I want to do my quick check obviously, make sure. So 5 is less than my groups, which is 8, so that works out. So I have 640 with a remainder of 5. The step-by-step method is obviously the one that we learned when we were in high school. In grade school, not high school, seems like that. But so we just go ahead and just dive right on in. So here we go. So 4 into 4 one time. 1 times 4 is 4, so we subtract, and we end up with 0. So we drop the 1. Once again, this is where kids in my class in 4th grade really have a hard time understanding what's going on here. So you have 1, and you're trying to divide by 4. Well, you can't do that. So what they have to understand is you can, once again, multiply by 0, and you have to. So 0 times 4 is 0. Subtract, you get your 1, and now we can finally drop that 5 and get to 15. So 15 divided by 4, how many times can 4 go into 15 without going over? Well, you can go 3 times. 3 times 4 is 12. Subtract, you get 3, and drop down your 2. And once again, 32 divided by 4, how many times can 4 go into 32 without going over? And you get 8. And 8 times 4 is right on 32. Subtract, and we get nothing left. So answer is 1038. This right here is where you have to really be careful and make sure that they understand what's going on with that step. That's where they can get a little bit confusing. Alright, so let's just do some more practice. You're more welcome to do these along with me at home. Feel free to just pause it and check your work as I'm going along. I am going to be doing expanded form just to let you know, but you're more than welcome to do any method that you want and just kind of compare what you're getting with what I'm getting. So here we go. 9,522 divided by 5. First place I'm going to start is, of course, in the thousands place, and I ask myself, can 5 go into 9? And, of course, yes, I can 1 time. Since I'm in the thousands place, that means I can use 1,000. Anytime I put something up top, you want to multiply by the side. So 1,000 times 5 is 5,000. And I want to subtract that. And I'm going to end up with 522. And let's see, 9 minus 5 is 4. So I continue. And now I'm going to be in my hundreds place. so I need 2 zeros. Put the 2 zeros down here. And that really helps me. Once again, it takes care of that really big number and just really allows me to think easily here with 45. So 45 divided by 5 is 9. 900 times 5 is 4,500. And we're left with 22. I should probably write those subtract signs. Alright, so here's where, normally I would go to a 10, but because I only have 22 left, just straight up divide into it. 22 divided by 5. 5 can get to 22 really close by going into 20, which we would multiply by 4. So 5 times 4 is 20. And it looks like I'm going to have 2 left over because 2 is less than my group's 5, and that becomes my remainder. So I want to write this as a complete normal number, 1,900. Well, here's the trick. Obviously you need to know how to write this as a number, but there is nothing in the tens place, so you have to write a 0, and then make sure that 4 stays in the ones place, and we're the remainder of 2. Next problem, 7,531 divided by 3. Once again, starting in the thousands place. 3 can go into 7. If you have 7 pieces of candy, you definitely can give more than 1 to each kid, so I can give 2 to each person equally without going over. 2,000 times 3 is 6,000. And when you subtract 1, 3, 5, 1, we have 1,531 left. And going to be going to my hundreds place because that comes next after thousands. And whenever I multiply by 100, I know I'm going to be using 2 zeros. 2 zeros down there. That helps take care of this, and all I really have to do is look at 15 now. So 15 divided by 3 is 5. So 5 times 3 is right on 15. And subtract that, and I'm ending up with 31. So now I'll check for tens. If I multiply 110 by 3 groups, that will give me 30. And look, I have 31, so I can do that. So I'm going to use 110 into each group. And 10 times 3 is indeed 30. And that leaves me with 1 left. So that just means I have 1 piece of candy left, and I have 3 people. So obviously the rules of division say I cannot do that equally. So that becomes my remainder. Put all this together, 2,510 with a remainder of 1. Alright, 4,018 divided by 2. Once again, start off in the thousands. And this time, 2 can go right into 4 all the way. So let's go ahead and do that. So 2 times 2 will be 4. So 2,000 times 2 is 4,000. When you subtract this, man, all you got left is 18. Well, that means, if you only have 18 left, that's it. So let's see. Obviously, you can't do 100 because 100 times 2 is 200. That's way too high. Let's check the tens place. If you do 110 into 2 groups, that would be 20, and that's still too high too. So that tells me no hundreds place, no tens place, and that leaves me with just ones. So 18 ones divided by 2 would be 9. 9 times 2 is right on 18. So we subtract and get rid of it. And then here my answer is 2,009. And that's it. So there's some more practice for you. Yeah, just shoot me an email, give me a call, have your child come with any questions. I know this isn't the easiest stuff in the world, but you just take it one step at a time, keep it nice and clean. You should be doing pretty good. I see a lot of kids, when they're actually taking their time in class, they're nailing them. It's when they start rushing that they start making little careless mistakes. Also, please check their homework. I'm seeing a lot of silly mistakes. I'm seeing a lot of kids not actually finishing the steps in the problem. They're leaving their answers down below. They're not putting their answers up top, or they're not just finishing the problem. They finish like the hundreds place and thousands place, but they don't ever get to the ones place. So making sure that your child finishes it all the way through would be great. All right, thanks, and have a great night.